Here we go. Welcome. Glad you guys are here, and really excited about this interview that we're going to get to have here. And I just want to make sure you guys know kind of what we're doing here. You know, this movie's got a really powerful message, but what we're doing here is a bit unique. We're actually going to glean content from what's in the film.
Well, the main theme of the movie, of course, what people have said about it as they've watched it is, you know, if I could go to a church like that, I'd go to church.
Yeah.
And it actually is portraying, I think, some values that really would make church a lot different place than what a lot of people experience.
Yeah.
And there's something that happens in the middle of the movie. I want to show a clip of this in just a second, but where this phrase is used, isn't this what we do, or this is what we do. Let's just roll the clip, and I think it'll be self-explanatory.
Yes, Dad, he is good, obviously. But do we really want the most important part of the play to be done by a newcomer, especially somebody who brings all this attention?
Since when is attention a bad thing for a play?
But he seems so cocky. I'd love to not cast him just to show him that he can't get what he wants all the time.
Look, hon, it's your call. I trust you completely. But I will say this. Yes, he has his quirks, and I'm not sure he completely understands all the things he says about his faith. But isn't this why we do what we do?
Wow.
See, that is the essence of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And here, that's a pastor's daughter, and she's struggling with the whole idea of, you know, I mean, I don't know if this is our kind of guy, and I don't know if we really like this guy, and do we want to have people around that aren't like us? And I mean, he nails the theme of the whole thing when he says, isn't this what we do?
Yeah.
You know, Tara, you played the role of Charlotte. And what do you think about this matter about how churches aren't welcoming? They're judging people. What's your kind of take on that?
Not only are there the people that don't give grace, but you start to feel like you can't receive it from people. So you walk into these places having an expectation that everyone has it put together and you don't. When I really came to a point where things just couldn't go any further with the way I was living, one of the things that hindered me from walking back into church was that people are going to judge me. And I was judging the people that I would be perceived to judge.
So how did you overcome that?
I just went.
And how were you received?
It's the thing that changed church for me. The amount of relationships I started to acquire in such a short period of time, despite the stuff that I had done in my past, was amazing.
Haven't we all experienced what it's like when someone really wants something from us, and at first they were being so kind and so nice and so warm that they thought that they were really interested in us, but at a certain point in time the road turns and we realize, no, it wasn't really me they were interested in, it was, you know, kind of what I would do for them. Have you kind of had a sense of that personally or in the industry?
Yeah, it can feel like that sometimes in the industry. You know, sometimes you're only as good as your last thing, phone stops ringing and stuff like that, and it's very easy, I think, for people to make judgments about, you know, when you're on the up and when you're on the down. You know, going to auditions and stuff, it's easy to become lost in this, and you know, you go in for 5 minutes at a time and you're trying to show what you can bring to it, and often just people don't have time to get to know you.
Right.
They have, you know, they're trying to cast something. I get it, I totally understand from their perspective.
What really hurts is when you're experiencing that from your family, people that you feel like you have and Gavin was going through that.
Yeah.
I mean, his dad was kind of like, I'd rather be without you than be with that version of you, right? Mm-hmm. And we see that kind of brought out in the movie. And
Yeah.
I think that's everywhere. And so the idea is that church would be a place where people can find what you can't find anywhere else. And I think what we're trying to be honest enough to say is sometimes it's not really like that. Just talk a little bit about your early experience with finding the Lord personally, and just beginning to just talk about this matter of welcoming from Christians and how you maybe did or didn't experience that.
I knew that most people would know who I was. You get the long hair, you get the tattoos. I certainly didn't look like someone that was going to fit. So I was intimidated about going in, honestly. And I was very fortunate to run into someone that was very welcoming. He was a man from Alabama working there in Cornerstone Church in Texas, but poked his head out of his office and, "You can come to my Bible study." And he was always very open, very honest, didn't care who I was or what kind of baggage I brought. But if it was not for the love and compassion
initial welcome
of that gentleman and his wife, I mean, it didn't matter what else was going on. They were always there for me, and they brought me along step by step, which, as I look back, I think that
made all the difference.
Really did.
We like to say, if that was really happening, welcoming without judgment and loving without condition, and then forgiving without limit, if that was really happening, we like to say, order more chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because talk a little bit about that in your experience, where you've needed that, or where you've someone's needed that from you.
Well, you know, I really relate to my character, Kelly. She had to call her dad so he could remind her of what we do. You know, and I think there's so many times where we lean on our friends to be our accountability, to remind us and check us. And for me, that person is my husband, who is constantly reminding me and checking me, because I can get emotional and just very like, well, no, if she did this, well, then forget it, you know, whatever. And then, yeah, exactly, here come my emotions, that my emotions are gonna say how this is gonna go. And then my husband is the one who's like, well, how about this? If you were in this position, wouldn't you want to be treated this way? And yada, and you know, so I feel like we all at some point need a little reminder, and then we can step forward in that grace and be like, you know what? Yeah, I talked to Dad, and he reminded me, yeah, I gotta forgive you.
This is what we do. We welcome without judgment, and we love without condition, and we forgive without limit. A people, a church that is learning to be that, is a church that's going to be a force for God in this dark world. Hardly anywhere you can find that, but hopefully increasingly you can find it in your church. This is what we do.